Hey guys, welcome back. And this is the third and final part to the Spectrum. Just after I finished recording the last episode, I was talking to someone and I said, this has got me really perplexed. So, we did a couple of things. And you will find out if you watch this. So, grab yourself a drink, a nice snack or two, and that comfy old chair. Let's fix this thing. So guys, back at this Spectrum 48K. So, as I alluded to in the intro there, I was sitting down chatting to a chappie in our Facebook group, and I said to him, look, this is driving me around the bend. I said, I'm literally replacing every IC on this machine. And he says, well, it shouldn't be. But everything I've read, and I've followed the More Fun Fixing It and More Fun Building It guy in the UK, and have had a few bits and pieces backwards and forwards with people as well, and they said that it could have been the 74LS 157s that drive the lower RAM, because I pulled out all of the upper RAM, that the ICs I should say, that drive it, still had the same problem. And what I did is, well, okay, I was going to pull out one, but I didn't want to heat the board up just to put one socket and one IC in, so I pulled them both, put the sockets in, put them both back in, had the same problem. So I thought, well, okay, I popped one out, put one in. Slightly different problem, same thing. So I thought, well, pop the second one out, put another brand new one in, way better picture. Still had problems. So I went through and had a look at his playlists for RAM problems and that, and he's basically said the same thing, pull out all your upper, and then see if it goes away. If not, then it's probably your lower RAM. I thought, oh, okay. So I put the test cartridge back in, ran it again, sure as eggs, 4 RAM chips are faulty. So I pulled those 2 chips out, and I put the original ones back in, fired it up, nothing wrong, RAM is fine, picture is awful. So I thought, no, there's got to be something not right here. So I pulled them both out, put them in, and away it went. And it said, yes, there's 4 faulty RAM chips. So I pulled out both of the ICs, put them in my tester, but it only does a basic test on the TTL stuff, and it checked them and said that my ones were fine, because I know they were brand new and tested when I bought them. I put these ones in, and it sort of said, yeah, no, they're okay, but maybe they're on the threshold, who knows. So anyway, I thought, okay, so I marked the 4 bad RAM chips, and then I went through and I desoldered the 4 of them, put sockets in, and put the RAM back in, retested. Now this is just to make sure that I haven't introduced any problems. Went through, did a retest, yes, same 4 RAMs are faulty. Okay, so I thought, well, what do I do for RAM? I didn't have any 4116s. So I ordered some, and I thought, well, there's got to be a way around it, and there was. And I remember you can use a 4164 by doing the mod on them, which was pulling up leg 1 or cutting it off, bending up leg 8 and soldering it to leg 9. Because the 4164s don't use -5 and they don't use 12. The 4164s only use 5 volts. So here's another issue. If you have a machine with 16 by 1s in it, and you want to reduce the heat, get some 4164s and do this simple mod. You can cut, if you're going to do it permanently, you can cut the pin 1 off, bend pin 8 over, and it's just a little short jumper wire you've got to take from the pin, from the leg that's bent over the top, to pin 9, and that's it, finished. So I'm going to do that because he wants me to do the 64K mod to help it live a bit longer, because it reduces the heat inside the case, and that's what causes a lot of the Spectrum issues, is the heat. This does have the mod for the 5 volt, which has a more modern inverter in it, and it helps reduce the heat because the heat kills the ULAs. Now there are replacement ULAs, but wherever you go, they seem about the same price. And by the same price, I mean in New Zealand, we pay 55 New Zealand dollars. You look on eBay, you pay 55 euros, 55 US dollars. So you start doing the conversions, and it's like someone's making some decent bloody coin out of this, and it ain't me. So anyway, he's decided we'll get one, and we have a local chap in the group here that makes them, so we're going to get one of those for his machine. Because his ULA, as you'll see in the end, is what's causing the problem. So to carry on, I replaced the RAMs one by one, and the picture got slightly better and slightly better. But after I replaced the 4 of them, we still had this problem with the screen. So I looked around a bit more and did a bit more research, and it could still be the lower RAMs. And I thought, well, bite the bullet, pull them out, put them all into sockets. It's the best I can do. So I did that, and I pulled them out, put sockets in, put the original ones back in, still bad picture. And I thought, it's got to be the RAM. So I made up another 4 164s into 16K, popped them in one at a time, and the picture did get better. Now the picture, after I put all 8 of these in, the picture was okay, but it had a little bit of noise going through the picture, and it wasn't 100%. And I thought, there's got to be something else going on. So that's when I was talking to this chappie online that I know, Craig, and I said to him, so what could the problem be? I've done just about everything else. And he said, well, the only other thing it could be is your combiner, the processor, or the ROM. And then he says, or the ULA. And I thought, well, I don't have a combiner chip. I'll have to get some in. I don't have a CPU. I'll have to get some in. The ROM's fine. I've got those, and I can burn another ROM and stick another ROM in. And I thought, I've got a ULA in the broken machine that I got given to look at, another one. And I had a look at it, and I thought, oh, it's a ULA 6, which were more prone to dying than the 7s. Not as bad as the 5s and the 4s and that. But they are more prone to dying through the heat. And I thought, oh. I tried it early on when I first had this issue, and it made no difference. So I thought, oh, okay. So I thought, well, it's worth a try. So I popped the ULA 7 out, popped my 6 back in. I thought, well, here goes nothing. Fired it on, and what do you know? Perfect screen. So I thought, is this a fluke? So I powered it down, and I changed the ROM image, powered it back up. Fine. Powered it down, and I have 3 diagnostics images on the ROM and 1 game. And I thought, flipped it onto the last image for the game. Powered it up, bingo, come up fine. I thought, okay, he's not going to be happy at getting a new ULA. And because at this time I was looking at originals, I did not know that there was this this modern equivalent to it around. And I looked online, and the price they want for original ULAs, take a gamble, and they were way more expensive than actually buying one of the repos. And the repos have some enhancements in them too. So I thought, I'll put it to him, his call. I can't give him the ULA because it doesn't belong to that machine, it belongs to another one. And see where we go from there. So I was just chatting to him, and he's sort of throwing his hands up and said, well, it's becoming a bit of a mission, this thing, so might as well go whole hog with it and get a new ULA. And I sort of think it's the right way of doing it, because everything then is done. Everything's done. The only things, and that generally will never go wrong, are the ROM, the CPU, and the combiner. They're generally things that never ever go wrong. And I actually found out too, I thought someone had socketed all the high memory stuff. No, from doing my research, that was done at factory. They put the 3 IC sockets in for the extra logic, and the 8 RAM sockets in for the extra RAM for upgradability. So that was nice. Maybe they didn't come with the sockets in the very early days or later on, but that was there, and because somebody had already populated it. but they just didn't do a very good job at setting up the RAM type. And I learned that what that is on the back of the Spectrum boards is that the two different versions of RAM they had was Oki and Hitachi, I think. It was different ends of the spectrum that were faulty. So one had faulty high memory and one had faulty low memory. And that's why you had to strap it so it told it which block out of the RAMs to use, the higher or the lower. That was Sinclair. He was great at saving money, wasn't he? Anyway, guys, so this is all up and running fine. So I will show you so you can have a look. And I'll take you through the steps of showing you when it was faulty to getting better to how it is now. Okay? So if you like, sit back, relax, have your drink and your snacks, and have a look at the video. So guys, here we are. Here's the board. I've got me diagnostics cartridge. Well, this is my cartridge that I made into a diagnostics cartridge. And as I said earlier, it's an erasable PROM in here, just a TTL switching gate, an LED to tell us that there's power on this, a reset so we can reset the cartridge, and that's just a two-way switch setup so you can go on, off, and you can select your ROM images off the ROM, so it changes the address lines to which one you go to. I said to him what I would do is, because I'm only charging him for the components and the ULA when we get one, I'll throw him in one of these for free, and it's up to him what he wants to put on the ROM and do what he wants, just because I've had this for the channel to do the repair on the channel for him. So it gives me content, so I give something back. Alright, so I've got it here. This is all his original chips that are in here now. So what I'm going to do is I will change the main camera that I used when I introduced to the screen over there, and you'll see it come up on the screen. So you won't see this here, but you'll actually see the main screen, the Commodore screen. Okay, so I will switch you over to that, and then you'll hear me. I'll try and put the little one up in the corner for you, and then you should be able to hear me commentate on what we're doing. Well, you should be able to see what we're doing anyway, but I should be able to tell you what I've changed and what I haven't changed. Alright, so I'll get that set up and we'll be back at it. Okay guys, so I've got that all set up for you to see, so I'm just going to turn it on, and this is what it was doing. As you can see, not happy. And as I said, it would go all the way through and say the RAM is fine, and when it was not. So what we'll do is I'll go through and do what I did, which is I'll change the 157s. Okay, so yeah, you can see my head's in the way because the camera's there, so don't worry about it. So what I did is then turn this off, and I will replace these two over here, because it's these two top ones. So it's those two top ones are the ones that were giving us the problem. Just got to get my eyes. The 158. Okay, so then that's the two 157s put in. And what I will do is I'll reboot this up now, so I'll switch back over. And now that I changed it, do you see it's now saying that IC10 and IC7 are faulty. So, and each of these blocks are the different types of boards. So this is our one. That's a 2B plus, and then the other one was for the 3. So, and as it says down here, there was an error with the RAM. So then what I did is I thought, okay, so that's when I went through swapping the, sorry, I'll move this down. So that's when I went through swapping the 157s to see if it made a difference. And that's where I had it where it's saying, oh, it's fine. Oh, no, there's an error. And this is why it was driving me around the bend. And I thought, no. I did some more research, and that's when I found that more fun fixing it. And he does a lot of Spectrums, I can tell you. A lot, and a lot of different models. A lot of 3s tend to be the main ones, but he does do the later model ones. And he's also part of the Roaming Spectrum you may have heard about or seen on some channels. Adrian's Digital Basement's done a bit. There's a couple of YouTubers over in Aussie that have repair channels that have done it. So, quite interesting if you want to have a look at it. So anyway, this is where I went through and I took these ICs out, put sockets in these two, and put sockets in these two. And I went through changing these, and I will show you. I'll do that now. So pop those out. And that's when I made the RAMs, so we'll pop those in. And I'm going to take the wires off these and do them properly for them, so they don't have those little wires crossed up. And I'll snip off those legs as well, so they don't sit up in the air and maybe short on something at some stage. Okay, so then I put in the 4 modified RAMs, and then I'll just get you back in a shot again. And then we went to this. Better picture. Still some distortion on the screen. And we come up and everything is fine, but still distortion on the screen, as you can see. So I had a further look online and they said yes, it could still be the lower RAMs. So I thought, well, I've done all those, I'll make up another 4, put in 4 extra sockets, and let's replace all of this lower RAM. So that's what I did. I ended up desoldering these two, putting in a couple of sets of sockets, and put these back into it, and I still had the same problems. I thought, yeah, it's got to be the slower RAM. I moved these into those sockets and put those into these sockets, and the distortion on the screen changed a little bit, and that sort of pointed me to, okay, there could be a fault with this RAM. Whether at some stage it's had an issue with the rails and it may have damaged the chips or overstressed the chips and they're just slowly starting to go flaky, could be what it was. So anyway, we'll turn this off. And what I did then is, then when I put the sockets in, I made up another 4 of these RAM chips. and put them in. And I was teeing up to, should I look at seeing if any of these are faulty or not, and trying to resurrect them. And I thought, well, the cost of putting originals back in, that one's just gone for a run. The cost of putting the originals back in as opposed to 4164s, it's actually cheaper getting 4164s than it is getting the original RAMs. So I would hate to put them back in and then find it goes faulty. So I'm just going to grab this RAM chip. Right, so there we have all those in there. So all the RAMs are in now. Make sure they're all sit down properly. Right. And as you can see, it still came through and said, yeah, everything went fine, but the screen's still corrupted. So I thought, what could it be? And that's when I was talking to Craig on Messenger, and he's had a few of these, and so has Anthony as well, Anthony Beagley. And I sort of going backwards and forwards between them, saying, well, what could it be? And Craig said to me, he says, well, it can only be the combiner, which is this one here, still socketed. The processor still socketed, still on the board. The ROM still on the board. And he said, because those are the only things that are in the line for the video going out. And I thought, well, I don't have one of these, so I'd have to get some in. I don't have any of these NECs, so I'd have to see if I've got something compatible or get some in. The ROM's not an issue. I can burn another ROM and drop it in. And then he says, well, it could be the ULA. And I says, okay. Had a look online, and I didn't like the prices I was seeing. And thinking about it, I thought, well, I did try the ULA in here originally, and it made no difference, because I don't know if that ULA was any good. So I pulled the ULA out and put the one I've got on my other board in there, and you'll see what happens. So we'll pop this one out. These are not very nice sockets. These original sockets are not very nice sockets on these Spectrums either. These are generally what they call single wipe, which means they usually only have the piece of metal on one side, not on both. And they don't make a very good contact. So this is my... Wait, get you in shot there somewhere, guys. My version 6 ULA. And I'll put that one in there. So that's in there, and of course that one's his getting the light so you can see it. His version 7 ULA. And we'll switch back over so you can see what happens. And there we go. That's with the version 6 ROM in it. Good screen. Good brightness. Everything passes. Everything comes up. I don't have the keyboard on, so I can't run any other tests. What I can do, push the reset, goes into a different test setup. Why are you seeing this back to front? Right, and so there we have it. It's on a different test ROM. So we change that again. Do a reset on it. That's the Retrolium one. Push reset. And that's the Spectrum test ROM. It'll run through and do its thing. As I say, I don't have a keyboard on here. But as you can see, that runs fine. And there we go. So all that works fine. And then of course the last one I have, I've got a game on here as well. And as you can see, I've got Jetpack on here. And that works fine. And that's it. So that all works fine. So the problem now comes down to this ULA. Now I know that those two and those two are faulty. So those 4 chips are faulty, as I marked, because the error went away when I did it. Now I thought, well, do I muck around putting the others back in and seeing if it works? But I don't want to mix the RAM. And as I was saying, the 64K ones run a lot colder than the 16s do, because I'm not using the extra voltage reference RAMs. So in the RAMs. So I think, as he said, he wants to keep to the 64s. So I'll pop these wires off and just jumper link them straight across like I had with this one, and order them in a ULA, and then we can button this up once and for all. Alright guys, and that is where we're up to, and this one's all fixed. There will be another Spectrum on the channel. I have the one that I got given that if I needed spare parts for, to test this one with, that I can get going. And I thought, well, that'd be a good, that one has different issues. That's this board here. It has no -5, no 12, and has 5 volts. So this has an issue. So I've popped all the RAM off it, and as you can see, the ULA's out of this board. It's still running the original regulator. I replaced that because that regulator looked a bit munted underneath here. So I've taken it off and I've put a new one on it. And the rest of it looks fine. So I'm picking it's probably down here. I did a cap replacement on it. I didn't have any axial caps, so I've gone with just standard caps, and I've left the legs long and I've made them so I could lie them over, and then bent one long pin and then one short pin and put them on that way. So I've done all the caps on that, so that's the next one to do, would be this one, which we come back to it. Alright, we'll wrap up now, and all I've got to do is wait for the ULA to come into here. When I do, I might do a short bit about the ULA and then carry on doing the fix on the other Spectrum, just so I don't have to hang on to this for a long time before I release it. Alright guys, that's where I think we're going to finish this one off to. Well guys, there we go, and that's a fixed one. As I said, it's gone a little bit long, and I'm not charging the guy labour and stuff like that. It's only going to be a few sockets, TTLs, the RAM, and the ULA. Plus a little bit of time for gas running around, picking it up and dropping it off. And I said to him, I will make them up. I do have some of the ROM boards, so I'm going to make him up one of these, and if he hasn't got a programmer, I might ask him what ones he would like, and put on 4 images of games that he would like to play, and do that for him. If it's 16K images, if they're bigger, this will only run 16s. I think it won't run the 64K ones and that sort of thing. So, but I said to him I'll do him up one of those, and then he can have that as a thank you as well for doing it on the channel. Alright guys, so that's the end of another one, and we'll be up with something else next week. So, as I always say, have a great day, have a great week, and until next time, ciao.